every day is you groom your audience for fascism and you set them up for a complete takeover of the DOJ. This is all about allowing Trump to get away with any crime he wants, as you sort of slighted and sort of, laid out very nonchalantly just a little bit ago. He was impeached twice. Doesn't really matter that he tried to blackmail the leader of Ukraine into digging up non-existent dirt on Joe Biden, but that doesn't matter to you
Joe
or
Biden
your
threatened
followers.
to withhold arms.
You want to make sure. You want to make sure that when Trump is reelected, he can get away. He can get away with getting rid of the Department of Education.
All I would point out is that it's not my party that's imprisoning its political opponents right now. So if we're going to throw that accusation about,
I was about to say one of the key tenets of fascism is you imprison your political opponents.
I'm in here grinding, money I'm stacking, while they rock diamonds. I can't relate to them, ain't my shit coming. I set a goal for me, 2 or 3 commas. 7 figures, 8 figures to 9 figures. On a slow pace to get rich quick. Same time we just think different. Cause when you make it, it hit different.
What it do, baby? It's your partner Dale back in the saddle again for another special edition of the Countermoves Podcast. We'll still do it the podcast tomorrow, but today it's going to be a really special one, man. This is going to be a barn burner one, guys. And you know what's hot off the presses, guys, is you actually have this whole thing when it comes to President Trump actually being indicted. Now, if you could, before we dive into this thing, if you could share. Right, subscribe if you get some value here, guys. But this is going to be really good one, guys. Man, we all know that President Trump was actually indicted on 34 counts, I believe, last week. And there was uproar on both the liberal and the conservative side. I did a show on that one also, concerning it was a special one. But the conversation is still going on right now concerning this indictment. And guys, I got to tell you guys, no matter what platform we're on this one, you want to buck up for this one, man, there was an explosive clash between the conservative Michael Knowles and a progressive activist on the Trump indictment, guys, and it was actually on the Piers Morgan show. Man, it got spicy. It really did, but I got to say, to be honest with you, it was a pretty good debate, very substantive, but it stayed true to the facts. So no matter what platform that you're on, guys, I'm sorry, I'm doing multiple things one time. You're gonna want to see this, guys. So we're gonna dive into this one, guys. We're gonna look at it from the debate standpoint. We're gonna look at it from a conservative side and a liberal side, but also there's also a capital market side to this as well. How is the capital markets? How are they responding to what's going on in New York concerning a former president? But guys, let's dive into this one. This is going to be really good, guys. Again, Michael Knowles, he's finna go all in, guys, on this when it comes to this, guys. And it got really spicy, guys. So let's dive into this, guys. And then what we'll do is we'll begin talking about it. All right, guys, let's dive into this. Here we go.
To debate this is the Shark Tank investor, Kevin O'Leary, criminal defense attorney Mark Geragos, host of the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles Show, conservative commentator Michael Knowles, and the very unconservative commentator Francesca Fiorentino. Well, welcome to all of you. Mark Geragos, let me start with you just for the legal perspective here. I think two things can be true at the same time.
Now, this first guy is a liberal. He's a liberal attorney. So he's an attorney by trade. So let's listen to what he says. Here we go.
One is that the jury did their job with the evidence placed in front of them and that the verdict was a correct one from a legal perspective. And the second view, which can run concurrently with this should never have got to court in the first place, and dragging an American president through a criminal court process over something so relatively trivial, driven by apparent political partisanship on the part of the people driving it, was a catastrophic error of judgment and a disaster for the country. Discuss.
Well, look, I don't disagree with you. You can have these two thoughts in your head. If you're going to bring a criminal case against one of the most reviled people in Manhattan and pick a jury in Manhattan and expect them to do anything but convict him, then I know nothing about the criminal law that I've been trying cases about. That was a slam dunk for the prosecution from the get-go. Wow. At the same time, I can tell you that it was, to my mind, it was reprehensible that you take a case that is basically misdemeanors and with an expired statute of limitations, and you do the mental gymnastics to contort this into a target crime that's not defined until closing argument, and make those into felonies, basically reviving an expired statute of limitations. I could go on and on about the legal nonsense that this is, but I'm not criticizing the jury. I criticize, number one, the prosecutor for bringing this case. Part of what makes the system work is prosecutors have to make hard decisions when to bring a case. Now, the jury did what they were given. That's on the judge. The judge, there's no such thing as directed verdicts in criminal cases. This was basically a directed verdict based on the jury instructions. As to the political, I'll just end it with this. I said 30 years ago when I was defending Susan McDougal, who was Bill Clinton's business partner in the Whitewater case, and when she was being prosecuted by then independent counsel Ken Starr, be careful what you wish for, Republicans, because the chickens are going to come home to roost. Sure enough, that's where we are now.
And those chickens.
So that was a liberal attorney giving his thought process on it. He was saying that from the get-go, the case was a slam dunk for the prosecution. And he was talking about when it came to the jury instructions. This is what he was saying. That's some pretty interesting facts what he was saying. But let's keep it going. Here we go.
Chickens are going to keep coming home to roost. So, Francesca, my question for you is, I understand how joyous you must be feeling that Donald Trump has been convicted because he slept with a porn star 20 years ago and may have shuffled some business papers about it. But why is it good for America that one of your 46 presidents has been treated in such a humiliating manner over something so trivial? And why do you guys not see that this might help him rather than hinder him in the election?
Correct.
I happen to believe, Piers, that it's good for America when you hold the person who has the highest office in the land to the standards of the American law. And in this case, New York state law, where he committed these crimes. I happen to believe that it is a telltale sign of coming totalitarianism, fascism, skirting of the law when you allow a president to simply do whatever he wants and actually never hold him accountable. Well, look, the reality is this, is that these aren't crimes that were on the books in every single state. These are crimes that are on the books in New York State, as we talked about, all right? And so he knew exactly what he was doing. In fact, this is the most important part, is that David Pecker of the National Enquirer refused to keep on paying his hush money payments because the dude was tired of getting paid back in expired Trump stakes. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do it this time, especially not with a porn star. And so Michael Cohen had to do the payments on behalf of Donald Trump. Michael Cohen already spent 3 years mostly on house arrest, but he was already sentenced to 3 years over this. This is squarely Trump's making. This has nothing to do with his base. It has nothing to do with protecting American democracy, like happened on January 6th, according to them. This has to do with Trump making his bronzer-stained bed with a porn star, trying to cover it up, and then getting caught doing it.
And out of interest, before I go to Michael, out of interest.
So what she's saying is this is all Trump's fault. He was held to the standard that every American should be held at. That's what she's coming to with this verdict. She's saying with all this was the right thing to do because it held Donald Trump to the same standard as every other American. Okay, let's keep going.
Why is Bill Clinton able to have sex with an intern in the Oval Office when he's president and lie to the American people about it on national television? And why is he able to pay off Paula Jones $850,000, 4 times as much, 5 times as much as the Trump payment to Stormy Daniels?
Good question.
to get rid of a sexual harassment claim, again, while he's president. And he has no criminal court recourse for that.
Yeah.
Why is that deemed to be better than what happened with Trump and Stormy?
Interesting.
I don't think anyone is making that case, Piers. I'm
asking you, what's the difference? What's the difference?
Or any predator. The difference is that he didn't cook the books financially using his own, using back channels in order to pay.
So paying somebody off who says you sexually harassed her, paying nearly $1 million while you're the president of the United States, and then having sex with an intern in the Oval Office and lying about it, that's fine because he's a Democrat.
Wow.
Piers, only the
Francesca?
leftists in your mind are making that argument.
Sorry?
I said only the Democrats and the leftist mob in your mind are making that argument that you're opposing to it. I will say this about Stormy Daniels. I think it's incredible that she accepted $130,000 from Michael Cohen, because honestly, if I had the misfortune of sleeping with Donald Trump, no matter what the circumstances, let's say I had mad cow and then I did DMT on an empty stomach. Yeah. If I had the misfortune of sleeping with Donald Trump, there is no amount of money you could pay me to keep quiet about it, because I would never tell a single soul. I would fake my own death and move to the Galapagos and pretend to be a bird.
I mean, I would say it's very unlikely you would ever get.
I think it's safe to say she may not like Donald Trump. just to be on the safe side. Let's keep it going, guys.
The offer, but you do look quite like Karen McDougal, funny enough.
Oh, so I'm not cute enough to.
No, I just said you are. I said you're very much in his.
I love that line.
Actually, it's a compliment. Yes.
Yeah, it was a compliment. Go to Michael.
Wow.
Michael, look, I do think there's a ridiculous double standard here that will come back and bite the Democrats for the reasons that Mark Garagos said about historically. You've seen this coming a mile off, where both parties starting to ratchet up this concept of kind of going after each other's leaders in criminal courts. I mean, you see this normally in banana republics, not in the United States of America. And it really does worry me, as someone who loves America and loves Americans, what this is leading to. Yeah. Because if all that happens in each term of office is one party trying to incarcerate the other's leader, I don't know where that leaves America in a few years' time.
Well, this will only come back to bite Democrats if they lose their grip on power, and obviously they don't think that they will. This is why President Biden the other day, when he was walking out of a press briefing, was asked, Mr. President, Donald Trump says that you are imprisoning him because he's your political rival. What do you say to that charge?
Well, I'll stop you there. We have the clip. Let's play the clip.
Okay. Mr. President, can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Wow. Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign?
I mean, you look like Jack Nicholson in The Shining at the end of that. But I mean, Michael, to pick up your point there, that's the clip you're referring to.
Yes, and it's pretty clear this is not a man who thinks that he has to be accountable to the American people. When you look at the federal charge against Trump, there was a poll that came out when that charge was brought that showed 62% of Americans think that it's primarily politically motivated. They just don't seem to care. And so this has been a ratcheting up, as we've all noted on the panel, of trends that have been built up for some years now. Some would say going back to Richard Nixon. But certainly in the early Trump campaign, the Democrats tried to stop him from being president by spying on him and cooking up fake intelligence, ironically enough, with Russia. And that didn't work. Then they tried to throw him out by impeaching him twice. That didn't work. Then they tried to kick him out by rigging the election and changing all the voter rules, in some cases in contravention of state constitutions leading up to that election. That did get him out of office, and he did leave office, but then he didn't go away. He kept running again. So then they indicted him 4 times. Now they've convicted him. They're going to threaten to throw him in prison. Pretty soon they're going to threaten to send him to St. Helena. But this has absolutely nothing to do with the law. As was noted earlier, at most you're talking about a misdemeanor that would have already expired under the statute of limitations. I'm not even convinced that there was really a misdemeanor that Trump committed. So my fellow panelist here is celebrating that the rule of law has been vindicated and overturned 234 years of American legal tradition. I would challenge her to see if she could possibly articulate how and what crime Trump committed, because so far Alvin Bragg, the DA, has failed to do so. The judge in the case, Judge Merchan, has failed to do so. And they can't do it because Trump didn't commit any of the crimes for which he's been convicted.
Well, let's just ask quickly before I go to Kevin.
Here we go.
Francesca, just on that point, what crime did Trump commit?
It was financial crimes. It was white collar crimes. That is exactly
Which
what
one,
they
though?
charged him. He was convicted on.
What was the crime?
It's New York State law.
I understand. What was the crime?
It is New.
Francesca,
I don't even like it. It is
Well,
literally
hang on, Mark,
he just got convicted on 34 counts.
Francesca, what was the crime?
What's the crime?
Like cooking the actual books.
What was the crime?
You are not allowed. So you are not allowed to use your own financial, like your own money, to pay off somebody, and then he logged it as something different. Okay. He logged it as just a regular payment, but he was actually paying off this porn star to keep quiet, which, if he hadn't been running for president, would not have mattered, but he was, and so it impacted campaign finance laws in New York State. Okay, that is what Juan Merchan just oversaw this.
Okay.
Alan Bragg got these charges because
that's
Michael
not-
Cohen
that's not quite
was
what
already
happened.
sentenced to 3 years to do
Okay,
it.
let's just go before Kevin. I'll be very, very, very patient. We'll come to you.
Look, I'm no expert. Let me just say, hang on,
No,
Michael.
Francesca.
So if you're not an expert, why are you talking as if you are an expert? If you're not an expert, you have a sitting attorney on the panel. Shouldn't you defer to the attorney concerning what's going on? He even tried to interject in, but Francesca kept going and going and going. Let's keep unpacking this. Here we go.
You are no expert.
by the
That's
way.
fine, because the campaign finance law is a federal
wait.
law.
Hang on,
Anyway.
Francesca. I want to go to.
Exactly. Campaign finance that she's referring to is a federal law, not a state law. So off the riff, the non-expert doesn't know what she's talking about. Let's keep going though.
Mark, you're the lawyer. Is anything Francesca just said, is that actually the crime?
Look, let me just say, I like Francesca a lot. And we probably agree on 80% of our worldviews. However, Francesca, the way you just described it, call me afterwards and I'll educate you, because that's not what happened.
Wow.
There was no theory that was given to the jurors. The jurors were told it could have been campaign finance, it could have been tax, it could have been false books. They were told they didn't have to specify, and specifically told they did not have to agree unanimously. That's what irks me. Lifelong Democrat, no fan of Trump, never voted for Trump, never will. But I will tell you, as somebody who has spent his entire career with kind of taking on unpopular causes and holding the government accountable, I have to tell you, I do that for a reason. And the reason is this kind of shenanigans, and that's the best light I can spin it, in the criminal courts has no place in a federal election.
No, I agree.
The campaign finance laws were federal, not state. And the state laws had nothing to do with it.
I want to go to Kevin.
So hold on right there. Come to your party real quickly, y'all. Man, that was so good. That was so good. He even said it. He said that the theory that was presented to the jury was that it could be one of three different crimes, right? It could have been this. Not that there was an actual crime. It could have been those 4 crimes, right? And he detailed that out in his soliloquy. Then he said, but what the instructions were from the judge was those were state crimes. The problem with that is you're saying that there was an underlying crime, and the underlying crime was a federal crime. So unfortunately, a state attorney cannot litigate a federal issue. That's what this liberal Democrat just said. Man, here in the second, we're gonna get another perspective. But hold on, guys, this is interesting. Mastering the strategy of locating distressed properties has allowed for me to own about $35 million worth of real estate currently right now. We're talking about new construction, single-family residences, commercial properties, and apartment complex. You name it, I own it. Now I know you're asking, what does this got to do with you? I'm glad you actually asked. One of the most common questions that I receive when it comes to real estate investing is that they say, Liddell, what is the best strategy I should use when it comes to executing a good investment strategy in real estate? Should I buy and hold? Should I buy and flip? Or should I do a rental scenario? My answer to that question is, why not do all three? But the good thing thing about it is the investor that masters the art of locating distressed properties will know exactly how and what strategy is the most wisest in that situation. That's the key to this whole thing. We're actually having a free real estate masterclass. This is 100% free. Don't cost you a dime at all, period. It's going to be myself and Cliff Hunter, who's a licensed appraiser and general contractor and successful investor. We're going to be talking about all things real estate. You can ask any question you want. No questions off limits. We're talking about new construction, buying and flipping, buying and holding, rental properties, how to raise capital, how to put together a scope of work when it comes to renovation project, subject to investing. You name it, you ask it, we'll be right there to answer any question. All we ask for you is click on the link below or swipe up and just give us your name and email address. That's it, and you can book your seats. It'll be epic. See you in the masterclass. Now, guys, there's been some issues concerning how could this verdict actually begin to affect the capital markets, the business side of real estate in New York, right? In New York, not in any other states, but in the city of New York. That's why I'm really glad that we actually have Kevin O'Leary on the screen here in a second. And what's going to happen is Kevin is going to talk about how this has affected the capital markets or investing dollars coming into New York, guys. Listen to a very successful real estate investor, businessman, not an investor, but businessman talking about what international business and domestic business is saying about this verdict. Here we go.
Kevin, been waiting very patiently. Kevin, you are a very successful businessman, as Trump has obviously been in his career too. Do you think, in all honesty, if you were caught up in something like this, and I'm not for a moment suggesting you would want to have a one-night stand with Stormy Daniels, but if you went down this road and ran for office, or not run for office, if you just ran for, say, to be CEO of a company, do you think it would ever have led to a criminal case? Because the argument is that a regular business guy who's not actually running for the presidency would be treated very differently, and therefore the law has not been seen to be fairly applied here.
Okay.
I think half the country in the U.S. believes this is politically motivated, which is not a good thing. It's having more impact on the state of New York, which is seen as unstable. Whether the case has flaws in it or not will be solved for in the appellate system. Correct. So most people assume, because of the importance of the situation, that it will go through the appellate system as quickly as possible, if necessary, to the Supreme Court. In the end of the day, these things balance themselves. The damage done to New York started back in the other litigation around real estate. Quietly, large projects, those are over $1 billion, are not being started in New York currently. People are waiting until things stabilize. And I've moved projects out of New York to places like Oklahoma, North Dakota, West Virginia, Montana, Pennsylvania, much more stable environments.
So what this businessman is saying concerning this verdict, he's saying that he himself has moved business projects out of New York because it's unstable to other states that actually are more stable. This is the effect that the capital markets is saying. This businessman, but he's going to go into international business as well, guys. And listen to what he says. Here we go.
It's too difficult to work in that unstable environment. And the real problem is you can't raise institutional capital right now. The capital from around the world thinks New York's a little off kilter.
So now when it comes to capital infusion, right, money coming internationally, domestically into New York, what he is saying that investors saying, I ain't finna invest in New York. Hell no. And I agree with them. Here we go.
Something else to consider about Alvin Bragg, which I think history will prove to be correct. You've got to remember, Donald Trump only 24 months ago, in the middle of the first term of Biden, did not have control of his party. About a third of them were rebelling, if you want to use that word, because they were concerned about the controversy around Trump and they were looking for new leadership. And he was challenged.
Sure, he was.
But something happened that changed everything. And this is the law of unintended consequences. Alvin Bragg started charging Trump. And immediately the entire Republican Party coalesced behind him almost in 48 hours. Of course, the country bifurcated into this being a political witch hunt using lawfare, as a tool, and we're still debating that. But here's what's really interesting. If Trump becomes president, I think he has a big debt to Alvin Bragg.
Right.
Alvin Bragg is the kingmaker.
Yeah.
He made Trump president by polarizing the country so much and motivating the base so much that in the last 42 hours, Trump has passed $60 million in fundraising. That's an all-time record for him. So what's happening here is this unusual time, and I understand that you may not like that as an unintended consequence if you're Alvin Bragg, but I think history will show he made Donald Trump president one more time. And that's just the way it is.
You know what?
So not only is he saying that this is hurting the capital market sector of the state of New York, not just the city, but the state of New York. What he's saying also is politically it's hurting him because this move may have just elected Donald Trump as president of the United States. And I gotta say, there's a case to say he's actually correct about that as well, guys. So it's just let's get to let's call it. Here we go, guys. Here is the debate. He's going to keep going a little bit, but here is the debate, guys. You're here for the debate. Here we go. Let's get it in.
But Mitt Romney to come down so squarely on the side of Trump.
I do want to just say, look, so the crimes were falsifying business records. Now, the reason I didn't know that before is because I'm not a lawyer and I'm not the journalist who is anchoring this entire show who should have told you that it was falsifying business records. Now, on the other
because
point,
those aren't felonies.
I hear you that most Americans don't care about falsifying business records. I agree with Kevin and I agree with Piers. However, I will say this. Most Americans also are very much go on gut. And they don't like that a candidate is now a convicted felon. But moreover, this candidate is someone who, and it is not the crime, however we know, cheated on his pregnant wife with a porn star in a hotel in Lake Tahoe and then bragged about it and then tried to pay her to shut up and also paid another Playboy bunny to also be quiet about their relationship.
Bill Clinton had sex with an intern
You're going back to Bill Clinton because it's the only thing you have.
Well, it's not a bad thing to have.
You're going back. No one's
unlike
talking
Trump,
about Bill
he was
Clinton.
president at the time.
You know, I don't mean to pick on Francesca too much here, but it's very telling that even the liberals who are going on television to defend this ruling have to Google in the breaks to figure out what the crime was. And even then, I'm sorry to say, misrepresent what the actual supposed crime was. The reason here that this has to take... Well, excuse me one second, Francesca.
I said he was cooking the books. That's the same thing.
Yeah. It's not a felony, not a crime. But anyway, that's a point.
But guys, this is after the liberal attorney corrected her early on in the segment. Let's keep going, guys. She ain't listening. Here we go.
For another time. The reason why even the great defenders of this conviction can't... to you as well. The reason that they can't articulate this is because it's not really a crime. That's why they had to upend 234 years of precedent for this. And it gets back to a point that you made earlier, Piers, and that you made, Kevin, which is that Alvin Bragg really overplayed his hand.
He did.
Sure, he overplayed his hand to some degree, but what else were they going to do? Donald Trump was always going to be the Republican nominee in 2024. A lot of people feel that he was gypped in 2020. He's the biggest guy in the party. It was going to happen. And Trump poses a real threat to the liberal establishment. He's not a Mitt Romney-type Republican. He has different views from the so-called uniparty on things like trade, on things like immigration, and things like foreign policy and war. Trump posed a major threat. That's why they took such extraordinary measures for the last 8 years to take this guy out. They weren't able to do it politically. They weren't even really able to do it at the ballot box. So what's left? The only thing left to do is to try to throw him in prison so that he can't campaign for the election. I agree, it's backfiring.
This is not a federal case, Michael. You know that. It's not even a federal case. Why do you think that? It's not a DOJ case. It's not a Biden case. It's not a Merrick Garland thing. It's New York State law. So the idea that this is
What
somehow
law?
politically motivated is all
Biden
made up
is
in your
also-
head, because what you
Biden's
do
DOJ is
on
also
your show
prosecuting
every
Donald Trump
day
twice.
is you groom your
Here
audience
we go.
for fascism,
Wow.
and you set them up for a complete takeover of the DOJ. This is all about allowing Trump to get away with any crime he wants, as you sort of slighted and sort
Francesca.
of, laid out very nonchalantly just a little bit ago. He was impeached twice. Doesn't really matter that he tried to blackmail the leader of Ukraine into digging up non-existent dirt on Joe Biden, but that
wow.
doesn't matter to you
Joe
or
Biden
your
threatened to
followers.
withhold arms
Who you
if-
want to
if
make
the-
sure. You want to make sure
Francesca,
that when
you're
Trump is
accusing me
reelected,
of
he
fascism.
can get away.
That's a big-
He can
Francesca,
get away
you're
with
accusing
getting
me of
rid of the
fascism. That's a
Department of
big charge.
Education.
All I would point out is that it's not my party that's imprisoning its political opponents.
Right.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So
That-
if we're
I
going to
was
throw
about
that,
to
that
say,
accusation about
I was
Who's
about
in
to say,
prison?
one of the
Who's
key
in
tenets
prison?
of fascism is you imprison your political opponents. Let me come back to Mark Garagos. I want to play a clip from Donald Trump at the weekend. This is talking to Fox and Friends, where he talks about the prospect of maybe going to jail.
The judge could decide to say, hey, house arrest or even jail.
It
How do
could.
you face what that could look
I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, "Oh no, you don't want to do that to the president." I said, "You don't beg for anything. You just the way it is." I don't know that the public would stand it. I'm not sure the public would stand for it.
Sure.
With a.
say if you tried house arrest or...
I think it would be tough for the public to take. At a certain point, there's a breaking point.
Now, Mark, the question I was going to ask you is that a lot of people think the way Trump has been trashing the judge, the court, the process, and everything night after night when he comes out to TV cameras, that under normal circumstances, you could trash talk your way into a prison sentence.
Sometimes you could.
Is that remotely possible here?
Well, let me give you the legal analysis and then I'll give you the political.
Gotcha.
There is no instance I can think of where you're convicted of 34 felonies in state court in America, in any jurisdiction, while you are found in contempt 9 times and a judge threatening to put you in jail, where when you're convicted, the judge doesn't remand you, meaning put you in jail right there pending sentencing. Obviously, that was not going to happen here. Obviously, at least to me, politically, this judge is not going to put him in jail on July 11th. I don't even think he's going to give him house arrest. My friend Alan Dershowitz suggested something that I had not thought of.
Listen.
I have been speculating that the judge will give him 30, 60, or 90 days in jail, but stay it pending the appeal. Alan thinks that he will impose a state prison sentence of, say, 2 years and just hang it over his head.
Wow.
And that's somewhat diabolical.
It is.
Because if you've got that state prison sentence over his head and he does not win the election in November, there's all kinds of mischief that could happen after that. So I don't think, if I'm a betting man, I don't think he's going to go into jail or into custody on July 11th. If he was somebody other than Trump, he would be in custody right now.
I mean, Kevin.
Now that is that's the liberal alternative that's actually on. He's actually on the panel. He is not voted for Trump. He does not plan on voting for Trump, but he finds this whole thing a travesty. And he correctly corrected the progressive activist that was actually on the panel. Her name was Francesca, concerning the law. What he was saying that the judge gave the jury instructions that he could have convicted of 3 different state crimes because it hid a federal crime, but they kept pointing toward the Federal Elections Commission, but that's a federal crime. So you can't try a state crime. A state attorney cannot try a federal crime. It's out of his jurisdiction. And so he correctly corrected that progressive activist. Now, let's go a little bit deeper on the legal eagles real quickly here, guys. Now, I want to bring in another gentleman that is really cool with this, and I want him to come in. He did a really good job explaining this. He's going to explain the legalities real quickly behind all this, guys, so we can understand. Now, this is Dan Bongino. He is a conservative, but he's a former Secret Serviceman, and he's also a former New York police officer as well before being a Secret Serviceman, and he guarded Bush and Obama, right? Now, and also Clinton. But he's going to unpack the New York side of this thing from a legality standpoint, and it's going to be interesting because he is actually going to say the exact same thing that the liberal attorney just said on Piers Morgan's show concerning how the liberal attorney was saying that he was just appalled at how this case wound up. He was pretty upset about it, and he's not a Trump fan at all. But let's see what's going on. Here we go.
I'll play that Biden hurt thing tomorrow. I just wanted to jump to this because, folks, so something happened yesterday. Did you watch yesterday's show? Dan Abrams runs a news network called News Nation. They're putting a lot of money into it. Hired a lot of talent over there. It's on a lot of the cable systems around. And Abrams. Now,
to check this out real quickly, he's speaking about Dan Abrams is on News Nation, and he invited on Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly, what he did was Megyn Kelly went on there to talk about this entire thing. And they got into a debate. It was an interesting debate, but it was, I think, two attorneys, because Megyn Kelly used to be an attorney, and I believe Dan Abrams was as well. I may be wrong about Dan, so don't quote me on that one. But they got into a discussion concerning this New York case. And I'm not going to show that to you guys. I'm going to show you, Dan's going to talk about it. If you want to look at it, you can find it easily on YouTube. But he's going to have his commentary concerning this. But I want you guys to look at the breakdown he actually had on this. Legally. Here we go.
Strikes me, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe as a far lefty, he runs a lot of outlets that lean left and go after conservatives. So I went after him yesterday on the show for his ridiculous legal logic with regards to the Trump case. Okay. First, he tried to claim, and he's in his defense, because I like to be fair to people. He's saying, I don't believe this case should have been brought. Okay. No one else does either. Yeah. Then just stick by that and defend it. Don't go into a moral argument, then defending it, and then make a faux legal argument, and then defend the legal argument, knowing it's all bullshit. So we went after him yesterday because he got into this tiff with Megyn Kelly. So he responded at News Nation. I don't know if it's newsnation.com. Is that the website? But here's a screenshot. And he goes after me in this piece too, which is okay. Listen, that's what we do in this business. We go, I don't take it personal. He's talking about this Trump case up in New York, and he's still trying to justify this FEC, what he thinks is a violation, and this payment and this NDA.
Now, the FEC, that's the stands for the Federal Elections Commission. That is the underlying crime that they came out and said in the closing arguments of what Trump was trying to hide. But the problem with it being an FEC crime, what they're saying, the F in FEC stands for federal. Alvin Bragg is a state attorney. State attorneys cannot try federal crimes, so to speak. But again, let's unpack it legally. Here we go.
Donald Trump's team made with this Stormy Daniels lady. He's still trying to justify this. It's like this guy doesn't understand basic facts about the case. And I'm starting to wonder with Abrams, is Abrams, I may go on his show. I haven't decided. They asked. I'm considering it. Maybe Tuesday. I don't know. I got to work it in my schedule. He clearly wants to have a debate. I told him it's got to be fair. But I'll even give you a hint and I'll give you a head start on this, just to be fair. This was a state case.
State.
Nothing you're saying makes sense. Number one, the Federal Election Commission determines violations of federal elections. That's why it's the FEC.
Point number one. Let's keep going. Great point.
And not the NYSEC.
Correct.
New York State Election Commission.
Correct.
The case is a New York State case.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, the FEC has never alleged this was a campaign violation. And number three, even if it was, which it isn't, and no one's ever shown it was,
yes,
the paperwork they would have to done had to complete it.
Listen,
would have been filed or gone public December 8th, which is after the November election.
Exactly. So even if the state could actually theoretically try on a federal FEC or federal crime in this scenario, it doesn't make any logical sense because the payment would have taken place after the election. So how can you charge someone a crime for something that happened after the election? I don't understand. That don't make no sense. Even if we let you make it on the federal side, if we let you make it, but a state attorney cannot try a federal crime or alleged crime, so to speak. Right? Let's keep going.
Is he just ignoring this?
That's simple.
I'm not sure if he's playing dumb right now or if he is. I'm really not sure. Here, again, receipts. This is a tweet from an actual FEC commissioner.
Yes.
Who actually did this.
Yes.
His name is Brad Smith. Matter of fact, his Twitter handle is @Commish_Smith.
This is the same guy that the Trump team was trying to call in for a witness to give education on the Federal Election Commission statutes, and the judge would not allow for him to come in. And he was the former FEC head. He was the former commissioner, the head of the department. Let's keep going. Here we go.
You think he knows a little bit about this?
Just a little bit.
And it's funny. Wait, leave this up. How I'm guessing Dan and others, I can already say what you're going to say. Oh, well, this Brad Smith, he sounds like a partisan. The freaking judge in the case's daughter was making money off attacking Trump while he donated to Biden. So
hold on. So let that sink in. The judge's daughter was raising money for Democrat candidates and sitting members, I believe, the Senate and House, off of the trial. Wow. Let's keep going.
So hard pass on that bullshit. So the judge is okay, but a nonpartisan commissioner isn't? He notes that the FEC regulations make clear that a mixed motive doesn't make something a campaign expense. If the obligation would exist irrespective of the campaign, paying it with campaign funds is personal use and therefore illegal. In other words, what he's saying here is if this thing had a dual purpose, this payment, because he wanted to protect his family against this lady going public, it doesn't make it a campaign violation at all.
And how do we know that it was maybe a dual purpose? Simple. Trump actually had a history of paying, having NDAs and paying off stories for stories not to come out. So this is not nothing new he's done. He was doing this before he was even a candidate for president. Let's keep going, guys.
He doesn't I don't get what here's another one from the Wall Street Journal, another thing, and you should read his entire thread on why this is not an FEC violation, what expenditure means, all this stuff. He notes that even if this thing was, no, that's the wrong one. That's not the
wrong one, guys.
Yeah, that's not the right web. Bottom line is, you got it.
Okay.
No, not that one either. Forget it. Yeah, it's that one. Yeah.
Here we go.
Man, you got. What were the chance? Like by chance, you think eventually, like it was like you had three choices. Here, the payment to Stormy Daniels was made on October 27. So the payment wouldn't have even been reported on the pre-election report.
Exactly.
How the hell can you interfere in an election, even if you believe this was election interference, if the report of the payment wouldn't have come out till the post-election report required to be filed on December 8th, a month after the election?
That's
So the prosecution's theory that Trump wanted to hide the expenditure until after the election makes no sense at all.
At all. This is the reason why they didn't want to have Brad Smith in. It's for that.
Should I go on this guy's show?
So again, guys, it says, let me read it real fast because I know Dan speaks real quickly. He says, the payment to Daniels was made on October 27th. It says, so the payment would not have been reported on the pre-election report. That means before the election, right? The next report is the post-election report. In 2016, the post-election report was required to be filed on December the 8th. The election was on November, I believe, the 5th or 6th, I believe. It was in November. 1 month after the election, So the prosecution's theory that Trump wanted to hide the expenditure until after the election makes no sense at all. I mean, even this is the reasoning why you actually have the judge saying he can be convicted of any of these 3 state crimes because of the fact that he wanted to hide. Before I go there real fast, hold on, guys. Come back to me real quickly. This is my reaction. That was a good breakdown by Dan Bongino. This is the reason why I believe the judge did not, this is the reason why I think the judge did what he did. But hold on one second. Let's see this commercial.
You are concerned about what's going on with this economy. I know I would be, man. You have the stock market not doing too well. You have inflation outpacing wages right now. And you have major companies looking at laying off a lot of people. Man, I had a friend of mine whose wife works for a major pharmaceutical company, and they're talking about laying off scientists, man. Scientists. It's getting real out there, guys. But hold on, wait a minute. It's not the end of the world for those that actually have a counter move. More than ever, it's time for everyday Americans to begin looking at a side hustle, a business for them to begin building now, and for them to be able to have the ability to pass that business on to second and third generation. Now, what business model is best for you? That's a great question, and the only person that can answer that question is you. The good news is a good friend of mine, Matt Sapala, actually did a good presentation on presenting the passive income blueprint. 3 effective ways to generate $1.5 million in passive income. The most powerful word in business is cash flow. And even a more powerful word is passive cash flow. I know, because I've been able to live the life of my dreams because of passive income. Most individuals focus on commission-based, generating commission. What if you can actually generate $1.5 million in passive income that can change not only your life, but generations to come, guys? Click on the link below or swipe up, guys, and I think you'll be blessed with what you see. God bless you. See you on this side.
All right, guys, here's my reaction to this. This is the reason why I believe that the judge did not want to call Brad Smith. It's because Brad Smith, the former FEC commissioner, right, Federal Elections commissioner, the reason they didn't want to call him in is because of the fact that he would have broken down just like that. This is the reason why this was done this way. It was done so they could get him. What they wanted, and the progressive activist said it best. She said that they wanted to have the words convicted felon, convicted felon and former president, Donald J. Trump. Because that was focus tested. And within their sphere of influence, it focus tested well. That's the reason why that happened. They couldn't allow Brad Smith in because Brad Smith would have torpedoed their theory. But that does not mean that the jury, who was a Manhattan jury, would not have still had convicted Donald Trump. That was a high possibility because I probably say I think he probably got 2, 3, or 4% of the vote in Manhattan in 2020. So it's just like the liberal attorney said in the Pierce Morgan segment that I played earlier on in the show. It actually being in Manhattan fixed it. It was there. That environment was going to breed a some form of conviction. It was their strategy, and it worked out well for them. It really did. But did it? Because then you actually had Kevin O'Leary coming in and saying that the capital markets domestically, investors domestically as well as internationally, look at the state of New York as unstable. So Kevin himself, I won't invest in real estate at all or invest in any companies in New York. Why? Because it's unstable. It's unstable. The regulatory and the legal eagles there, right, will go after most likely a lot of the people that don't agree with their ideology. And for me, that's risky for investment. So Kevin O'Leary said the exact same thing and also other institutional investors. Right now, Kevin O'Leary is actively raising capital internationally for him to buy TikTok. And what he's saying is the investors that are investing into Kevin's syndicate for him to actually buy TikTok, right, which I'll be in favor of, they're saying, what's going on in New York? We are really concerned about this. So they pulled their cash back out, right? That's what's going on. So that's what's going on. So he's getting that type of resistance right there in those markets. Well, guys, man, that's the reason why they didn't bring this case at all, period. It's because of the fact that, as far as not the case, but Brad Smith in. And I like the fact that it was a legally based argument that Michael Knowles, the liberal attorney, Dan Bongino, as well as Kevin Lee and Pierce Morgan put together on this topic. People can really get very accustomed to just having their own opinion. What if your opinion's wrong? What if it's just based on your emotions and not facts? What if that was you that this happened to? What if you took the place of Donald Trump? Would that be okay with you? I would say no, and I would oppose that as well also, because it's unrighteous injustice is what it is. It's unrighteous. But guys, man, give me your thoughts, man. Let me know what you think about it, man. Realistically, give me your thoughts, man. I just want to come on and do a special one, guys. Comment below. Again, if you could subscribe, guys, as well. Subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get those subs up. Like it as well. Share it if you can as well. Also, there'll be some reels coming out on this show as well. But also, guys, I'm always asked about if I could actually help people when it comes to real estate business. If this is only for individuals that are actually on all the platforms but Instagram, okay? There's a QR code for you to scan on. If you needed some counsel on what business model works best for you, scan on the QR code or click below, all right? This is talking about passive income business models. Number 2, also, guys, we also have a real estate masterclass. It is a masterclass that Cliff and I actually did on real estate investing. We talk about new construction, single-family residences, repairing, buying, flipping, buying, holding, subject to investing, you name it. Scan on the QR code or click on the link below in the description, guys. And lastly, guys, hey, I'm always asked about, hey, can you teach me how to invest in real estate? The answer is yes, but my time is limited as well. So I thought it'd be wise for me to put together an on-demand training that you can actually tap into. It's called the Cash Flow Club, guys. Click on the link below or scan on the QR code. You're right there, guys. You'll be able to get on-demand training from Cliff and I. And also, you'll be invited to the Cash Flow Club for you to be able to dive in, man, and ask us questions directly. Our whole thing is, how can we actually help you get to the back as fast as possible? We thought it'd be wise for us to train you how to locate, vet, and acquire real estate. And if the deal is good enough, I'll fund the deal myself. You got to be on camera, guys. But guys, man, thank you so much for the time, man. I hope I added some value to you as well, guys. We do have a sponsor, guys. It's called American Rounds. American Rounds is the first AI-powered ammo vending machine at your local grocery store, guys. Right? You can now buy ammo at your local grocery store. Yes, sir. It's here. And it is fast, safe, and automated, guys. Let me say it again. Fast, safe, and automated, guys. We got a commercial for them, guys. Let's dive in this, man. Here we go. Let's dive in this commercial. Here we go.
American Rounds. We are in Pell City, Alabama at Fresh Value grocery store installing the first ever automated retail machine for ammunition. The stores were really the inspiration for it. I mean, they knew their customer base and they came to us and thought this would be a really good opportunity for their customer base. There's a lot of hunting community here in Pell City and thought that their customers would love an opportunity to be able to buy ammunition here at the store.
We're super excited to offer, what we think is the first ammo kiosk. We're always looking for ways to give our customer another reason to come visit our stores. Anything that we can do to help them make their shopping trips easier based on the feedback that we've gotten just from customers today. They are so excited about us having the ammo kiosk.
We're getting ammo! Woo!
One of the ways we're changing the landscape of ammunition sales is to make it more available. Being able to move into a place like a grocery store, supermarket makes it a lot more available to the public. But we're taking a different approach to it. Traditionally, ammunition is sold at outdoor type stores, your sporting goods stores, and it just sits on a shelf. It's very accessible. Because of that, there's a high rate of theft. But with our machines, as you can see here, we have a very secure automated retail machine. We're able to age verify. We scan a driver's license. It then takes 360 facial recognition for the purchase and matches it to the ID. So the machines really provide an opportunity for safe, affordable, and available ammunition sales.
There is no doubt that foot traffic will increase based on the feedback that we've gotten. And again, we're super excited not only to have it here, but in other locations in Fresh Value as well.
We're really excited about where we're going. We are going to continue to expand here in Alabama. We have a machine slated to go into Oklahoma, Louisiana, Texas. So over the next year, we're looking forward to, seeing these roll out all throughout the South and the Southeast.
Guys, all right, guys, that's American Rounds. American Rounds, guys, go to all platforms, put at American Rounds. You'll be able to see all the content, any new products coming out when it comes to ammo, and you can also see where location we're going to be at next week. Maybe coming to a store near you, right? And number two, guys, we do also do some type of raffles when it comes to free ammo, maybe some free firearms as well. Also, you name it, we're doing that. You can also meet some of your influencers. We're going to be partnering with some pretty big influencers that you may know. Again, go to American Rounds on all platforms, or you can go to the link below in the description and go to AmericanRounds.com and learn more about us, guys. But guys, man, thank you so much for your time. I hope I added some value to the day. I ended every single time before you leave and while you can. You see that thing, baby. Take that damn picture and give it to your mama now. Holla at your partner. See you guys tomorrow, guys. All right, guys. Holla at your partner. Peace.